afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young on this 90-plus degree summery day. I had my AC on in the car. I feel a lot better than I did when I was outside this morning sweating bullets, but we have an awesome show tonight. We've got a great guest. He's a comedian. Before we get to him, we've got to read these great underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. We got Pacini's Pizza in Middleborough. We got Tom Otto in Middleborough. We got Carver Jewelers right here in the building, Ronald R. and Lyle A. Delano Goldsmiths. We got New England Floorscapes in Middleborough. We got Genuine's Inspection in Middleborough. We got the main ingredient, Just Good Food in Middleborough. We got Dave's Automotive, good old Dave's Automotive in Hanson, right here on Route 58. We got Crazy Axes Recreation Center in Hanover. We got Studio 53, Salon and Dave Spa in Pembroke. 20% off for Samantha first time. We got the Stylist. We got Manny's Auto Repair in Taunton. We got the Cornerstone Barbershop in Pembroke. We got the Granite Guys in Halifax. We got Fiesta Chara Family Mexican Restaurant in Carver down the road from here. And we got Pembroke Radiator in Pembroke. We got Barnacote Monuments in Middleborough. We got the Gunrunner LLC in Middleborough, dedicated to your Second Amendment rights. We got DNS Auto Works in Abington, and I want to thank you guys very much. And on that note, now I'll introduce this guest here, my comedian guest, my comedic guest, Mr. Dennis Wirth, spelled W-I-R-T-H. And is that a made-up name, or is that your real given name?
Well, actually, thank you for having me on the show. I actually Googled it to find out what a "d" means, and spell with an I back in the old days of Germany, it meant you were an innkeeper. So apparently my ancestries go back, they were innkeepers.
Cool. I always thought it meant you were worth your weight in gold.
I always wished I had an ancestor who was going to leave me some money, but apparently maybe an inn they left me, but not any money. I don't know.
Well, that's okay. Well, believe me, when your career is over, you'll have plenty of money to leave your descendants.
We can only hope.
Well, for now, but we'll make it work. All right, well, Mr. Dennis Wirth, thank you for coming down here from the central part of Massachusetts, which is where I guess you call home, to do my show.
Nice place called Gardner. We got a big chair and not much else.
I know Gardner, yeah.
We got the big chair.
Store, right next to White Below Winchendon.
That's the one.
I know it. I love that area. That was nice. I appreciate that. It was quite a haul for you.
It is. It's nice out there.
It is, yeah. And then right below New Hampshire, like right in the central part of up in Massachusetts.
It works out, being I can shoot any direction, so anywhere,
yeah, that's right.
I can go.
All right, well, so tell me about your history. What I do with every guest is I try to find out what they were like growing up, where they grew up, and how they got to where they're at. So you're a comedian, so let's start with that. Tell me about where you grew up and how did it get you into what you're doing now, and then we'll proceed further as I see fit.
Well, I was born in Gardner.
Okay, wow, you've been there that's incredible.
Well, not really. My father actually raced horses, so although I was born there, we traveled the country a lot as a kid, from horse track to horse track. I lived more places than I can even remember. We traveled a lot from Jacksonville, Florida, to Chino, California, to Delaware, to places I can't even remember. But for some reason, we always ended up back where the family was. That was in Gardner. So that's where I spent most of my adult life. My father was in the military. He was really strict growing up. So yeah, we didn't get to laugh a whole lot. He was serious about everything as a kid, so I think everybody tells me as I'm older, all the laughter I didn't get as a child is coming out now. So
I got to tell you, it's almost a humorous way you say it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm making up for lost time, I guess. But I was always fascinated with stand-up comedy as a kid. When they had the marathons, the weekend marathons, I'd sit there all weekend and just watch as much as I could. I just loved to watch people, the art form, and making people laugh.
That's right, it is an art form.
Yeah, I always had the itch to try it, but I never knew how. It's not like a job where you put in an application. How do you become a comedian? I really had no idea.
That's true.
So I don't know whether I chickened out. I mean, I could have found a comedy club and called them. I didn't. I heard about comedy. Some nights I was going to go, then didn't. But one night I got a pamphlet from the local community college, and it said...
Which one?
Mount Wachusett out in Central Mass.
I know exactly where it is.
And they had a bunch of night courses, and one of them said, Introduction to Stand-Up Comedy. And I was like, really? I said, I'll take the class. I never expected it to amount to anything. I'll look back years from now and laugh, I tried comedy. I took the class. One thing led to another, and it started to take off for me. And I'm like, well, if it's taken off this good without trying, I wonder if I put some effort in. I put some effort in, really started to take off for me. I never looked back, and I've been enjoying myself ever since.
All right, well, let's break this down a little further. First of all, how long ago, and I always say everything happens for a reason, so that pamphlet, where did you find the pamphlet? On your car windshield?
In the mailbox. It came in the mailbox.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, most of the time you throw something out like that, but you saw an opportunity and you took it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, how long ago was this?
2008. That was when I got started.
13 years ago.
Yeah,
okay. So all right, I assume you were already an adult by then.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. So you took a course. Was it a night course?
It was a night course, yeah. It lasted about, I think, 5 weeks, right?
Was it one night a week for 5 weeks?
One night a week for 5 weeks, yep.
Okay, and they taught you about delivery, and they taught you about writing your own material based on your own stuff?
Yeah.
How to incorporate other things with your, when your deal? Is that how it was?
Yeah, they said the real life stuff was so much funnier than anything you can make up, and I found that to be true. Like the real life stuff that's funny is much funnier than anything you can make up.
You got a really funny, just the way you just the delivery of your oration is funny. I just get a kick. I can't. So about 10 minutes into the show, we're gonna watch a 5-minute clip of your work, and I can't wait to see it. It's gonna be hilarious.
All right, let's check it out.
Okay, but in the meantime, so you did that in 2008. And so what did you do after that? Start doing open mics in different clubs?
Yeah, we had the graduation night, which was we tried out our material in class. Then we gave each other, the other students, we'd talk about others' material. Then we had graduation night. We did that, and I'll give the teacher, he could have just took your money and forgot about you. He was really good. He didn't, even after you graduated the class, he still stayed in touch with you. He got you in some shows. So.
Cool.
Between when he was helping, Jerry Caruso. He gave the
I know
class.
Jerry.
You know Jerry.
Hopefully he'll be a guest on my show.
Yeah, one of the
point.
greatest guys I ever met. Forget about comedy, but a very funny comedian too, and really helped me get started. That plus the other connections that I made, and it's addictive. Once you make people laugh, you can't wait to get up and go do it again. It's such a rush. It's like so. I put a lot more effort into it than some of the other people that I graduated with. They kind of graduated and waited for the phone to ring. I went out there and I made stuff happen.
You got to make it happen. You got to get out there and meet the world head on.
That's why I want, I've done a lot of cool things in comedy, where...
All right, let's talk about those cool things. So you went out and what did you, so Caruso helps you out and that's great, but what did you do on your own after the course?
Well, I went to an open mic one night, and I had a really good set as compared to the other comics. And,
where?
That was down in Leominster at a place called Classics Pub. I don't think they do it anymore, but one of the people that was the guest on that open mic, he approached me and said, hey, I do my open mic up in Baldwinville at a place called the Red Onion.
Okay.
Would you like to come do my open mic? I liked your set.
Wow.
Hey, I would love to, absolutely.
Yeah.
I go up to the Red Onion. I do my set up there. The owner sees my set. He absolutely loves it. Hey, I'd like you to run a comedy night here at the Red Onion for me. Really? I'd love to run a comedy night here at the Red Onion for you. So, again, I started doing comedy. Jerry helped me out, so we could rotate comics he knew in there every week. I was off to the races there. All of a sudden, I started booking other rooms. J.D. Chasers up in New Hampshire, I booked for many number of years. Uncle Eddie's up on Salisbury Beach, I booked. I can't even think now.
Let me ask you this. So in this time that you've been doing this, have you opened for any other, well-known comics in the area?
Yeah, Lenny Clark, Steve Sweeney.
Lenny.
Steve Sweeney.
Sweeney was a guest on the show here a few years ago.
Yeah, I got Mike Donovan, Chance Langdon. I mean, a lot of Boston comedy legends I've done. Then I started, once I got done the bar shows, I wanted to take the next step where I wanted some bigger crowds. I started booking the hall shows, and that was when I really started. I flew in Jimmy Walker from out in Vegas.
Really? The Kid Dynamite?
Dynamite! I booked him. It was a fun thing.
That's awesome.
So I put him up in a hotel. We did a big show with him. Jackie the Joke Man from the Howard Stern Show.
I told the joke on the Howie Koch show that was so dirty that it was so subtle that Howie didn't even know it until the 7-second delay. Had gone through and let it over the air, and he was wailing about it.
You're a comedian, you don't know it, see?
I love Jackie Mottling.
So Jackie the Joke Man I booked. Stuttering John Melendez, also from the Howard Stern show. I booked him. Let's see, Tom Cotter from America's Got Talent. I booked him. I actually have a friend up in Alaska. I flew up to Alaska, opened up for Carl LeBove, which I don't know if you remember Sam Kinison from the 80s.
Of course.
Carl was his best friend and opening act. So I had posted this guy on my wall as a kid, and here I'm flying to Alaska to open for him. I flew out to Vegas, hung out with him there, did some shows out there. Been out of New York City. I performed at Gotham, Dangerfields. It's been a really fun run. I'm still having fun.
That's awesome. Now, you didn't open. Rodney Dangerfield had passed away by the time you started.
Yeah, right. They just kept his club going in his name, so he had passed away.
Well, we had, John Perrotta here a couple of years ago. You know him?
Worker John, yeah.
Yeah, he's Rhode Island. And last fall, I had a young comic named Emmy YK. She was just a kid, but 18, but she was already performing at Mohegan Sun. And that's pretty impressive for someone so young.
Yeah, they got regular shows going down there.
I know. All right, well, this is wonderful. So you're really hooked into the loop then.
Well, I put a lot of effort into it, so it's like anything. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So you put a lot in the comedy, you get a lot out of it.
Okay, so tell me what's going on right now. What are you doing currently?
Well, I had a room up in Gardner at the Acadian Club. We were pulling 100 people regular. I had a room down in Leominster. We were booking the Knights Club. I was pulling 200-300 people regular. Then this pandemic hit.
Yes,
like that, everything I worked for was gone. So I said, well, I got to do something to stay in the game. So we're actually, I believe a former guest you had on, Adam Griswold. He's the director. He does low-budget movies.
Okay.
I got together with him, and I had met him, earlier when he was just getting started. He agreed we're doing an independent film for Amazon Prime now called The World Needs a New Superhero.
Okay.
Hopefully we're wrapped up by the end of the summer.
Wow.
And, we're going to enter some film festivals, and you can see it on Amazon Prime. Other than that, I do a podcast called Funny Like a Clown Podcast, where we explore the history of comedy. And I started out doing this podcast just for myself because I love the history.
Out of your house you do it?
Yeah, out of my house I do it. And all of
Okay.
a sudden, I'm getting hundreds of listeners. And I was like, wow, I just did this for fun. I'm doing hundreds. All of a sudden, I'm getting thousands of listeners. I'm like, wow, thousands of people are tuning me in. I got 5% of my listener base is in Israel. Figure that. Who's listening to me in Israel? I don't know.
Well,
it's really been fun.
Do you do any material in Hebrew?
No, I don't. But apparently, from what I hear, they're actually using comedy over there in the Middle East to bring peace to that area. That's what they're using comedy for. So imagine if comedy could bring peace to the Middle East. That'd be something, right?
If you can do that, you can move mountains.
That's it. Anything you can do, right?
Wow. Oh, that's incredible. So how many nights a week do you do your podcast?
I do it once a week. We do it. And,
Okay. Do you have guests on your show on the podcast that call in?
Sometimes I have call-in guests, and then on the weeks I don't have guests, I'll discuss like a mainstream guest.
Okay.
Somebody who passed away, like George Carlin, who I couldn't get on because he's passed away.
Right.
We'll discuss what he's done if I don't have a guest.
Okay.
Just today I had Mike Donovan before I came down here, which I don't know if you know Mike Donovan.
I know of him,
Legend of comedy.
Yeah. Okay.
I was thrilled to have him on, yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, when it comes to your material, what do you base it on?
Well, like I said, when I was doing the class, it's actually funny. They say do the real life stuff,
Right.
and the real life stuff for me at the time I took the comedy course, I was going through a bitter divorce. Okay. So I actually created a character. The first routine I came up with was a character called the child support superhero.
Okay.
Which I'm other than comedy, I'm a father's rights activist. I truly believe children deserve both of their
You have
parents
kids of
equally.
your own?
I do have one child.
You have one child.
Unfortunately, my alienated parent, his mother's yak his ear. He hadn't spoken to my family in 8 years.
Oh, yeah.
Just recently, he contacted my mother, and they went out to lunch. So my lips to God's ears. Maybe I'm next. I hope someday I realize there's two sides to every story, and all he's ever heard is one.
Of course.
I started a page on Facebook, look it up, called The Child Support Superhero.
Okay.
Since I did the routine, this character's taken on a life of its own. It's got 15,000 followers. Every time I post from the page, I'm hitting like 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people. So
Wow.
I got access to hitting an incredible number of people, and that's what the movie we're doing is about the character, the child support superhero, and a child's right to both parents equally. So
Okay, well we're gonna discuss that in a few minutes, but before we do, we're gonna take a little break, and we're gonna listen to some material from the original material from the one and only Dennis Wirth. So watch this little bit, and we'll be right back.
Oh, all right, I know. I stand up here all night and I make you laugh, and you guys think I'm a fun-loving guy, right? Yeah. Wrong. I'm the most miserable guy you're ever going to meet in your life. I'll tell you why. Anybody in the street pay child support? Where is he? Who pays the child support? This guy knows why I'm miserable right over here. Am I right, sir? There's a man who wakes up every morning, he sits on the edge of the bed, and he goes, well, should I kill it today or just pay the money? Oh, there's an episode of Friends on tonight I haven't seen yet. All right, I'll pay it today and rethink it in the morning. He gets home from work, he sees on the news there's been a fatal car crash, and he stares at the TV going, please it be a car, please it be a car, please it be a car. It's not a car, damn it, I gotta go to work in the morning, yeah. Child support, I'll tell you, I find it interesting that America is supposed to be the greatest country in the world, yet they need a third of my paycheck to raise a child. Then I turn on the TV and I see where you can raise a kid over in Africa for just 62 cents a day, the price of a cup of coffee. I'm in the wrong country, am I right? Clearly, right? America is the greatest country in the world now. They're allowing the gay marriage. You guys for or against the gay marriage? Woo! I am 100% for the gay marriage. If you're a man and you want to make love to another man at night, this is America, and you got the right to be happy. If you're a woman and you want to make love to another woman at night, then this is America, and I want to watch. But that's getting off the subject. You know what I feel bad for with the gay marriage, though? The judges. How'd you like to be the first judge that has to decide the first gay divorce, right? I picture an old judge sitting up on a bench looking down, and two guys down there going, I get custody of the gerbils. I get the gerbils. I get, no, I want the gerbils. Only a couple of you got that one? If you didn't get that joke, this guy right here, I'll explain it to you after the show. You'll laugh your ass off, okay? Ass off, get it? No pun intended. Let me tell you what I've done to combat child support. I've taken on a new identity. I am now the child support superhero, yeah. Kind of like the reverse Superman, right? Superman's got a big red S in his chest, right?
Oh, yeah.
man, yeah. Superman wears knee-high red leather boots. All I can afford is a pair of flip-flops. Superman's got a long red cape. I got an old beach towel with holes in it. Superman can leap tall buildings in a single bound. With the money I paid my ex, she could purchase the tall building Superman leaps over. Superman's faster than a speeding bullet. State of Mass, give my ex money from my paycheck faster than the speed of light. Superman's stronger than a locomotive. After my divorce, I walked out of court feeling like I had been hit by a locomotive. But let me tell you what I really do as the child support superhero. Pay attention. This is worth your admission right here, okay? Here's what I do as the child support superhero. I wait until it's late at night, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, put on my costume, and I go down to the local parking lots. Then I scan the parking lots with my x-ray vision until I see a car with a young couple making out inside of it. And then I slowly sneak up to the car. I slide along the car up to the driver's side window. I break the window. I throw a package of condoms on the front seat. Then I go running down the street screaming, "You'll thank me later!" Thank you. See, the funny part about it is it's all over the newspapers that I'm doing it, but nobody really gives a shit because anybody who bother to stop and read the article is someone who pays child support to a bitch just like me. It used to piss me off, but I'm past it now. I'm pretty past it, all right, man. No, man, that's the first routine I ever came up with in comedy was the child support superhero, and 10 years later it's still my favorite one to perform. But I got a lot of questions about it, you know? I get questions like, who is the villain to the child support superhero, right? Superman has Lex Luthor. Batman has Catwoman. Who is the villain to the child support superhero? He's got one, folks. She's called the crazy psycho bitch. There's at least one guy in here who's dated the crazy psycho bitch. Am I right, guys? Where is he? He's over there. There he is, a couple of them. There's a woman even, why not? Hey, right?
I have.
Oh, yeah. The crazy psycho bitch. She's kind of like the reverse Catwoman, you know? Catwoman has 9 lives. She's got 9 different guys she collects child support from. If you stare deep into her eyes, you can see dollar signs. Okay? And this is how she works, just like the Incredible Hulk, okay? She starts out by being real nice to you, which lures you in to her evil web of deceit. But then she gets pregnant, and just like the Incredible Hulk, she changes. But like the Hulk, it's not a change for the better. And then one day, it'll be you, her, and your child. You'll be walking in the park, and the wind will start to swirl, the skies will turn gray, and horns will start to pop out of her head. She'll look you dead in the eye and say, do you want to see your child? Do you want to be a part of your child's life? Do you love your child? She picks up your child. She goes running down the street screaming, then show me the money! And you end up giving her the money. I frickin' know 22 years later, right? Oh, child support. All right, I'm a little angry about it.
Oh, that was great. Tell me about it.
Well, that was actually the routine that I had told you about, the first
Okay.
one that I did, the child support superhero, and it was funny because when I started doing it, it was kind of a way that I coped with the situation. You know,
Right.
if you can laugh about the pain in your life, that's the way to handle it, rather than let it drive you crazy. And after every show I did, literally almost every show I was doing in comedy, I'd have somebody chasing me down in the parking lot saying, dude, wait up, I want to tell you my story about dealing with family law. And
Wow.
some of these stories I was hearing were blowing, just the unfairness these poor people just want to be a part of their own kids' lives and not being able to was blowing me away. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've had people write into the page saying, thank you so much for doing this page. I thought I was alone. I didn't know what to do, and you were there. So, I mean, I'm really helping. I had nowhere to turn. This, when I went through the custody battle of my child, this was before the internet. This was like, I was being treated so unfairly, I didn't know who to turn to. All of a sudden, without trying, I became the guy you turn to. Everybody's turning to me because I was willing to talk about it, where a lot of people don't want to talk about it.
Well, in addition to being a comedian, you're also, a benevolent mentor to people, too. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to know that I'm helping people out. That is a very good feeling.
It is, yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, okay. So, I mean, how many people do you think you've helped out so far since this event? I mean, it sounds to me
Well,
you
like
say
I
you
said,
got
yeah,
people
I mean-
coming right after you in the parking lot.
Yeah, they're coming in the parking lot. I mean, I got 15,000 followers on
Yeah.
the website page. So, I mean, when you're hitting that number of people, It's spreading awareness. I mean,
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
you solve any problem? I mean, you have to make people aware, and I feel I'm doing a good job spreading awareness.
Okay. All right. Well, now I don't want to get too personal. You're doing better with your family than you
I
were
don't
doing.
mind.
No, all right.
Ask me whatever you want.
Well, I know, but I want to. I mean, so it's working for you too right now, personally.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, rather if I didn't laugh about it, I've been drove crazy about it.
No,
so
I
I
understand.
would
Okay.
much rather laugh about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, now going forward. Now tell me about the film. That's what the film is about too.
Well, it's about the character, how he came around, and how he became the superhero and everything.
The superhero that the dad that's
Yeah,
that was
I mean,
alienated,
as hard as stand-up comedy is, I found acting is so much more difficult. It's
Okay,
long
I've done
days.
it too. I've not done stand-up comedy. I have done
Yeah.
acting though.
It's long days if you're doing acting. Take one, take two, take
I
three.
know.
You're on
I've
your
been on
feet
some
all
film
day.
sets,
So
my share, so I
my
know.
dream is I could make it a 3-part series. I mean, the first one is raising awareness
Okay.
about the child support system and how unfair it is to fathers. If we get the energy, I want to do a second part where we talk about parental alienation and how that comes about. Then the third part, if we get around to it, will be passing on to the next generation, and hopefully they solve the problem because we're setting the stages in this generation. I mean, the family law problem will never be solved in our lifetime, but we're setting it up for future generations to hopefully give kids mom and dad back equally.
Right, I know. Well, I mean, I mean, my suggestion, my advice to people would be, don't have kids if you don't have to.
It's different than what it was when we were young.
I know.
It makes more sense to break up now than it does to stay together. When our parents were alive, it made more sense to stay together than break up.
Well, my parents are still going good, and they're going to be married 65 years next January.
And that's the generation
Just the
that
fact
we
that
grew
we're
up
even
in.
still with me is pretty impressive at my age,
It's,
too.
yeah, it used to be, 25 years, then 50 years, gold and silver.
Right.
Now it's 5 and 10 years if you make it.
If you make it, I know.
That's a good one.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me about the media coverage you've received. Besides, I mean, in terms of like what your podcast is going pretty well, but what about like TV appearances? I mean, have you ever done anything on one of the major networks or have you ever had other TV appearances before?
I've actually did my own local television show like this one
Like
out
this?
of Leominster, Mass, called The Comedy Kitchen. I've worked in
Okay.
restaurants for 30 plus years now.
Restaurants? Do you mean cooking or just doing comedy?
Yeah,
Or both?
I cook sometimes. Sometimes I do other stuff, but I mean, I've learned a lot. My joke about the show was I like to cook, but I love to eat, obviously. So that was the joke of the show. But
Okay.
I had Jimmy Walker on the show. I've had Lenny
had-
on, Steve on,
Okay, wow.
Jackie the Joke Man on. We all cooked the dish together. So we learned how to cook and we learned comedy. That was a great time. Then
How about the Dice Man?
the Dice Man. I've seen him about
David
3 or 4
Russo?
times. Yeah, I know Dave.
I had him on the show 4 years ago,
He
and then
was on my
last year he
podcast.
opened for the Dice Man.
Yeah, the Tropicana. Yeah,
Right.
I went out there. I was with Carl LeBove out there at the Laugh Factory, and it's a very nice venue out there.
So how much time do you spend, like a day or a week writing? Or writing material?
Everybody's different. It's like when I finally get in the mood, I'll sit down and write 3-4 routines in a row. Then I'll go like a couple months and I can't think of nothing. You got to be in the mood. Once the mood hits me, I'll sit down and write all night. But
Okay, but if you
I
like,
couldn't
let's say-
sit down and try, I wouldn't be able to.
All right, let's say you're in the mood and you do something for like one night. Is that material going to hold you for 2 or 3 months on the road doing stand up in different venues?
Well, you get the idea. I mean, you got your act that you started out with. I mean, I have, about
Right.
an hour's worth of material, but you
Yes.
can only do the same stuff so long.
Yes.
So I'll come up with an idea and I'll write a little bit the idea. Well, then you go to the clubs and you try it and then you expand on that idea, okay?
Yep.
This is funny, I'll talk about it. Sometimes off the top of your head, you'll come up with something. All right, that was funny, I'll add it in. Or
Yeah,
you try
okay.
it, that wasn't funny, I'll cut it out. So
So that means that you do a lot of. So, all right, what percentage of your material is ad libbing in addition to what you've already written? Would you say?
when you first start out, maybe about 50% of it's ad-libbing until you
Okay.
have the routine. Once it's down set, then you keep that routine and you try to come up with another one.
Okay, so like a lot of the stuff you'll do is ad libbing. It's not just written down. It just comes to you while you're on the stage, right?
Yeah, a lot of it
Okay.
is, some crowd work or something strikes you as funny and you just talk about it and all of a sudden,
Okay.
wow, there's a new subject.
You never happen to have worked for Sarah Silverman, have you?
Sarah Silverman, I have not, no.
You know her, though, right?
I know of Sarah Silverman.
She's
yes,
my
I do.
cousin.
Really?
Yes.
Well, who knew that, huh?
Everybody, a lot of
Well,
people
it's
know
funny.
it.
She was on Star Trek Voyager when she was a young
I
actor.
know.
Not many people remember. You know, probably, but
Well,
not many people remember.
Before that,
from
she was on. I mean, you were Boston. Even though you grew up in Gardner, in the central part of the state, Sarah, who started out kind of in a singing mode, she was a guest on the Dave Maynard show, which used to, Community Auditions, which is the oldest TV talent show in the country, which originated in Boston, and when she was like 14. And the only reason I know that is because she used to date. She dated Jimmy Kimmel for 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, even though they weren't dating later years, she was still appear on the show as a guest. And
Right.
one day he had a reel of that, her singing on community auditions when she was 14. So that was how she got her first gig, I guess, was singing.
Who knew?
Well, I right. You know that you watch TV and you know this stuff. So all right. So in terms of like your podcast, have you done your podcast for the week this week yet?
I just did today before I came down here. I had Mike Donovan on. Yeah.
Oh, you did. Okay, so you do it during the day. So you don't do it at night, or you find it's more easy to get.
Usually I do it on my day off, so I tell them whatever time's good for you. So it's pre-recorded. I can do it anytime.
That's true. Yeah.
Sometimes it's morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes night, whenever the guest is available.
All right, and do you have the guests come in person, or do they always have to be call-ins?
Most are call-ins. Yeah.
Mostly call-ins.
Yeah. I had Eddie Deason from Grease. He was the guy who played the nerd in Grease.
Oh yeah, no
Remember
kidding.
him? Yeah. Sandy Helberg. He was in Spaceballs. He played the doctor there.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had a lot of legends of comedy. Some people I didn't even think I could get. I've had on, so it's been fun.
I'd love to listen. I'd love it if you could get him on my show.
And
I've been trying to get Lenny on. I've been trying to get Lenny Clark on for 5 years. I mean, he told me he'd do the show. And
Lenny's a busy guy.
He could do the show if he wanted to. He told me he'd do it, and then he went back on it. That really aggravates me. Because, especially considering the people that have done it with me.
When you have the schedule Lenny has, it's tough to be everywhere.
Yeah,
he's a very in-demand comic. Yeah.
He could do it if he wanted to.
He may still do it. You never know.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see on that. I'm not holding my breath anymore.
Right. Well,
after a while, this time. But you can't dwell on. I mean, I did have Sweeney on. I had him on 3 years ago.
You gotta be thankful for the ones you did get.
Well, I know, and I had
guest,
John Throttle, and I had what's his name, Mark Riley.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He was a coverage.
No, I did. I have him on my podcast.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it's not so much who you have on; it's the art of conversation.
Right.
That inspires people to want to hear more.
It's scheduling. Get him at the right time, right place, right time. That's a big thing in comedy. What made you famous? Right place, right time.
Okay, so tell me about what is your summer, the rest of the summer and the fall look like for you now? What do you got going on? Any
Well,
gigs?
we're hoping to get the movie put back up. Then I want to get back into opening my rooms back up.
Okay.
I was thinking about opening the rooms back up, but Mass was changing the laws so much. I said, I'll put money into a show, then they'll change the laws. I'll be out the money because I can't put on the show.
Because of the virus, you mean?
With the virus,
yeah.
So I don't know, but we've been open long enough now. They're letting people perform, so I think it's safe at this point to open back up. So.
All right, where do you have this venue that you let people perform?
I got the Acadian Club up in Gardner, Mass. That's a 100-seater. Then the Knights of Columbus in Leominster, Mass. That's a 300-seater.
Right.
And I'm thinking about bringing in, remember Todd Bridges from Different Strokes?
Of course.
What you talking about, Willis? I'm thinking about bringing that down. So I'll finally find out what Willis is talking about.
Is he coming in? Is he going to be at your club?
I'm hoping to fly him in. Yeah, I'm hoping to have him in. I can get him. It was just a matter
incredible.
of yeah.
You really fly all these people in? What
yeah,
about
I put in the work. That's why I get ahead, because I'm willing to put in the work.
Right, I guess so. My God, that's amazing.
Right.
Okay, well now, but when you say you run these clubs, is that how it works?
I run the clubs. I book the comics, and I do the advertising. The night shows up. I host most of the shows, so I get to work with them, and I put my friends on and some young up-and-coming comics, and mix in the veterans.
All right, so but you don't own the clubs.
No. I mean,
you lease them you pay the rent and everything, and then okay. But people that run the clubs have already have hired you out to run them. Is that how that works?
Yeah, they hire me out to run the comedy night there for them, right.
So how many clubs do you run currently? 3?
Right now I'm 2. Those two.
Two. The Gardner and the other one.
The other one, right? I used to do a local bar where I had the young kids in, where if they did good there, I put them in the big rooms. But this generation of kids they're not very appreciative. I found out. So
why not? What do you mean, of comedy?
No, they're just not if somebody gave me a break, like I thank you very much for being on the show today, where kids today, they think you owe them something. You're supposed to book me. I'm not supposed to book anybody. You got to earn it like everybody else.
That's right. I agree with
that.
The
kids don't want to earn it nowadays.
Well, I don't know what they expect. If they're not going to show they got what it takes, what's the point of even talking to them?
Everybody wants to start at the top. Nobody wants to start out in the little bar. You put me in the 300-seater. It's my first week in comedy. No, that's not really how it works. You start at the bottom and
Ref Cardenas?
Who is it?
Ref Cardenas?
Haven't heard of him.
You never heard of him? That's interesting, because he's out in the middle. He's out in your area too. I think he lives out around the Leominster area. I had him on in Bridgewater in 2018.
Oh.
He's worked with Lenny before. All right, well, guess what? We're down to the final 5 minutes of the show.
All right.
So we made it go by. We covered a lot of stuff. What I want you to do, Dennis, in the remaining time is to look at the camera, that red light, and give shouts out to people that are going to see the show. Very quickly, condense them, friends, family members, all the people that you mentioned, all the big famous people, and tell them what a great time you had with me, and so maybe we can get them on as guests. Not including the ones that have already done it.
I shout out to my mom first off, because my mom's my biggest supporter in Carmody. I love you, Mom.
Sweet.
Thank you very much. The teacher, Jerry Caruso, I hope he turns this in, because I wouldn't be doing half of what I've done in comedy without him. Shout out to Jimmy J.J. Walker, Dynamite. Shout out to Lenny Clark.
Are you going to do the show, Lenny? Go ahead.
Steve Sweeney, the king of Boston
Yeah, the
comedy.
man.
Jackie the Joke Man. He's got a joke for every occasion.
Love the way he scratches.
Stuttering John. No, I shouldn't make fun of stutterers, but Stuttering John, man, he was a great guy. He came up. Tom Cotter, he took America's Got Talent right down to the finalists, the top 2. He's gone further than any comedian on the show. Shout out to him.
Dave Russo?
Dave Russo,
man.
Dirty Water TV. Shout out to Dave, great guy on my podcast.
I was on Dirty Water, too.
Shout out to Chance Langdon, Mike Donovan, I just had on the podcast today. Shout out to every guest I've had on Funny Like a Clown podcast. Shout out to my buddy Jeff Sylvia. He used to do this guy's job over here and run the Comedy Kitchen for me, my old TV show. So find all that stuff on YouTube and check me out, and check all the guys out I just mentioned.
Okay, you did a great job. I hope you had fun.
I had a blast. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're an amazing comic. I wish there were more people that were spirited as you are that I would encounter in my daily life.
Stay positive. That's the trick, folks.
Stay positive. All right. Well, Dennis, wonderful job. So on that note, we've already covered what your plans are for the next few months. So are you ready to wrap the show up the way we began it with my theme song? I noticed you only snapping with one hand.
All right, let's do it. And again, check out my movie, The World Needs a New Superhero, on Amazon Prime.
Okay, you heard it, folks. Okay, thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. See you next time. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.